Hi, my name is Carly Jones, and this is my curriculum analysis presentation for EDU 511. The curriculum I decided to go with was the Philadelphia Public Schools Elementary K through 8, Literacy, Math, Science, and Social Studies. And the grade level that I selected was first grade math. To begin with my foundations, I started with the letter to colleagues that was written by the deputy of the school district, and it was a letter addressed to the colleagues to inform them of how the curriculum was chosen and what resources will be used for instruction. It also stated that there's some changes with this year at a glance idea, but it still continues to highlight objectives and teaching goals. The year at a glance idea I will talk more specifically about in the next couple of slides. What kind of threw me off a little bit was that there really wasn't an explanation of exactly how the curriculum was chosen, who selected it, how it came about, what research it was based off of. And that kind of tied into Learning Session 1, which said the curriculum is a collection of decisions regarding the selection, ordering, emphasis, breadth of treatment of the chosen content elements, and the assessment of the selected content. Next for foundations, I pulled out two pieces of this letter to colleagues that I really wasn't sure what it was until I really read more about it. The first was Planning and Scheduling Timeline, or PST for short, and it's basically just a breakdown of what's going to be taught and when. It kind of serves as a pacing guide for teachers to follow and will allow grade level teachers to stay on the same page throughout the year, which will give all the students in that grade level some consistency with their classmates, and they'll all be learning the same material at the same time. And then there is Year at a Glance, or YAG, and that's a summary and an overview of the planning and scheduling timeline, and it shows the entire year, and it's broken up into 4 cycles. It's all tied to the McGraw-Hill Everyday Mathematics. In addition, teachers will incorporate best practices suggestions and multicultural activities. Next, I focused on the developers of the curriculum, who was involved in the planning and scheduling timeline. And it said that the superintendent, associate superintendent, and school reform commission. And I know that developing a curriculum takes a group of people, and I'm wondering who is on the school reform commission, what their background is, what their education is, how did they get elected to select this curriculum. And this ties into Learning Session 2, where Evelyn Sawol, she said to remove the dividing lines between the disciplines. Problems that need to be solved require information from people with diverse kinds of academic training. So that goes back to the School Reform Commission members. I'm wondering if they do come from a diverse background with different types of training. That would have been helpful in reviewing this curriculum. Next is organization. And this tied into Learning Session 3, talking about different kinds of curriculum, and to me this is more of a standard-based curriculum. It establishes clear statements about what students should learn, and it develops valid and reliable assessment systems that can determine that desired learning has occurred. Next was the overview of mathematics assessment anchors, and here it shows the standards being used in the math curriculum, which are Pennsylvania state standards, and they're all listed at the bottom, and it gives a chart which provides a reporting category and the standards that go with it. Next was the Year at a Glance, and then the Planning and Scheduling Timeline. And the Planning and Scheduling Timeline has at the top a statement of philosophy, which reads, "Good instruction is the best test preparation." For the Year at a Glance, there were 4 cycles, and they all focused on number and operations, measurement, geometry, algebra and data analysis, and probability. and it consisted of dates, days, units, lessons, assessment, and the cycle midpoints. I thought this was really great because this was just a basic summary that could be given to parents, it could be given to just teachers, even students, and it shows what they're going to be learning, on what dates, how many days it's going to take to learn that information, what units will cover certain information, what kind of lessons they're going to be having, the kinds of assessments they're going to be using, and it shows the cycle midpoint. And then for the planning and scheduling timeline, again, good instruction is the best test preparation. In addition to the statement of philosophy, there's a general objective and goal that all teachers should follow and believe. And it says, during the cycle, the goal of my teaching is that students will learn. And this is great because it gives teachers this responsibility to feel like they have this goal to make students learn to the proficient level every single day. And then it consisted of cycles 1 through 4, and it gave a teaching objective, content performance descriptors, the Pennsylvania state standards, and textual references structured lessons. For the teaching objective, it's basically what the teacher will be teaching, and she'll explain how she's going to introduce the concept. The teaching objective also shows what the 21st century skills will be addressed, such as teamwork, collaboration, and lifelong learning. And for the content performance descriptors, this is where the teacher's goals will be to teach to proficiency in each content area. For example, count using whole numbers to 100 by 1s, 2s, 5s, and 10s. And the Pennsylvania Standard Statement, the content standard number and page numbers are listed next to each performance descriptor. The page number references the pages in core curriculum. And for textual references structured lessons, this part of the PST shows what resources is being used, which lessons on certain pages, and special activities. Next for organization was the cycle schedule, and in each cycle it's broken down by what's being learned each week, how many days are intended to teach the content, and also provides the exact dates the content will be taught. And supports for 21st century learning is also provided, and underneath that there are links and other resources being used to teach the content. And sample assessment items. In this category, an example question is given from an assessment that's used for this part of the content. And PSSA connection to what I will teach. This category shows what content is being taught and also references the core curriculum pages. And in my opinion, this curriculum was part to whole sequencing because it involves the teacher starting with a little piece of information at a time and building to a bigger idea. And this ties into Learning Session 5, Academic Subject Design, because the organization is strictly by subject matter and is subject-centered. Next is content. The content is appropriate for student needs because it's correlated with Pennsylvania standards and also builds on what they already know. It includes 21st century skills, and the great part about this curriculum is that it shows the 21st century applied skills and offers the resources that were used for each skill taught. And it definitely applies to real life. Students need math skills in their everyday life. They need it in the grocery store, when paying bills, etc. Even at their young age, understanding the value of a number is extremely important, and this curriculum displays that. And this ties into Learning Session 4. It serves as a curriculum map. When I first started to review all of the information on this timeline, I immediately thought of a curriculum map because everything was there. Academic standards, enduring understandings, essential questions which encourage higher level thinking, content concepts which provide a clear vision of what content will be taught, skills, assessments that it showed provide sample assessment questions, it showed what learning activities the students were going to be doing, and it gave a list of resources for each piece of content. And then there's the assessment. This curriculum assesses very specific pieces of information of assessment by showing samples of what it looks like. For each skill, an assessment example is provided, and majority are multiple choice. However, there's still hands-on learning that's required in order to answer them correctly, and the assessments were all formative. And last, for the critique, learning activities and experiences. Although the curriculum is aligned with PA's content standards, the learning activities and experiences don't allow each student to learn in their own way. The pace doesn't really allow students to fall behind, which I feel is unrealistic. And I'm wondering if there's a special education program or some kind of special curriculum for those students who need that extra help, because it seems like it's very rigid. With on this day we're learning this, on this day we're learning this, and there isn't really any room for flexibility. And so I'm wondering if there are special services to help those children that can't keep up. And this ties into Learning Session 6, objective-based tests. Learning objectives are developed and aligned with tests that measure the objectives. So how does it cater to our digital natives? The great part about this curriculum, it seems to be that there's resources that are provided with that are technological, and they're all online, and even for those people that aren't super familiar with technology, they're still required to use it, so they're learning right along with the kids. And this tied into Learning Session 7 when Mark Prensky stated, "The single biggest problem facing education today is that our digital immigrant instructors who speak an outdated language that, out of the pre-digital age, are struggling to teach a population that speaks an entirely new language." And I believe that this is very true. So it's kind of up to the curriculum to force these teachers who aren't so familiar with it to get familiar and to learn with their colleagues and their students. And this curriculum requires all the teachers, no matter what generation they come from, to use this 21st century based skills. In conclusion, the Philadelphia public school system seems to provide teachers, administrators, and all other colleagues with a great amount of information to work with. Their curriculum seems up to date with technology advances and fits all student needs and learning styles. And it builds off of what students know to prepare them for what is next.